I'm Jim. That was Doug. These are our bikes, and this is my trip report of our bike tour through Oregon's Old West Scenic Bikeway. We started the trip late in the day on Friday and John Day at the Kam-Wah-Chung Site and Visitor Center. The site commemorates a little-known and extremely well-preserved aspect of John Day's history. It's really cool to see the 40s and earlier artifacts in their original state. From there, we had an easy ride, winded our backs to Prairie City. We found the advice online to go the direction we did very appropriate, as the wind seemed to follow us most of the time. From there, the road got steep on our way to our first night in Bates State Park. This is a really big wagon partway up the hill that sits on a great vantage point of the surrounding areas. Bates Campground is brand new. The water was fairly decent tasting from the tap. Skeeters were moderately bad, but not intolerable. For cyclists, the real attraction near Bates is the Austin House. The part restaurant, part store is run by delightful people that really cater to cyclists. They even brought us our dinner delivery style so we wouldn't have to pack it down the hill to the campground. In the morning, we returned for an excellent breakfast, stopped to fill up our water bottles at a natural spring, and after one quick wrong turn, we're on our way. The second day's goal was Long Creek, 60 miles down the road. Most of the day was spent riding along the middle fork of the John Day River. This is listed as being devoid of services, most importantly water, on several trip reports we've seen. The reality is most of it is really close to the river, where you can filter water if you need to. I haven't double checked to see if there is a compelling reason not to drink filtered river water along the route, but it tasted fresh and worked great for us. The other remarkable aspect of this section is the absence of cars. It's a near total absence of cars. We saw maybe one car an hour, and we were taking our time, so we were out there for quite a while. It was super awesome riding. Probably the best day of the trip. Many of the towns, and I mean whole towns, on this route close at 6 p.m. This is the case with Long Creek, and we got in later than that. The accommodations at Long Creek Lodge were acceptable, but quite a lot more expensive than our budget allowed. It was nice to get a shower, and the breakfast at the Stampede the next morning was definitely good. The RV park / campground had either broken water or toilets or both. I can't remember for sure which, but the prospect of plumbing issues and the hum of generators all night on an empty stomach was not acceptable. Temperatures were generally in the 80s on this trip. Doug's computer is exaggerated here, as the bike just came out of the back of the truck and we thought it was dramatic. But make no mistake about it, it was very hot. You can't overestimate how important hydration was on this route. After leaving Long Creek, the day's riding was advertised as having an insane, breathtaking descent into Monument. There were definitely fun descents along the way, but it was a lot more rolling than I expected, and definitely not as long a descent as the first days into Bates State Park. Monument was okay, with no restaurant open on Sunday. We settled for groceries in the park for lunch, then we headed out for Dayville. The scenery really changes a lot in this section. The route goes from running along a high plateau to low along the river, with spectacular views of the area's predominant geological features. There are several visitor centers along the way to check out if time allows. The situation in Dayville is something really special. The Presbyterian Church there offers free shelter, showers, coffee, and general hospitality to cyclists for free. You heard me right, free. We made a modest donation to the coffers. The Dayville Cafe serves up an awesome breakfast, probably more than I needed for the relatively short ride back to John Day. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, this is a very conservative-leaning town in parts. We saw signs reading, "No Obama," and "This is a UN-free zone." But all the people we met were beyond nice and displayed a level of hospitality not often seen ever anywhere. So big thumbs up for Dayville. Our final day was a 30-mile blast back into John Day. The latter part of the day before's riding and most of this day's riding had a pretty good tailwind, which made it hotter, but faster than expected riding. I definitely recommend this ride. It's a haul from Portland, about 5.5 hours each way, but it was definitely worth the drive. Sections of it would be appropriate for day rides for beginners. If you want to do the whole thing, I wouldn't recommend it as a first tour, at least not on a 3 or 4 day itinerary this time of year or later in the summer. It is hot, very, very hot, has variable winds and some big climbs, and there are zero resources if you get into trouble in a couple of the best sections. The state seems to be throwing some resources at bicycle tourism lately, and this route definitely shines through with great riding, vistas, and people to meet along the way.